Good evening. Good evening. First of all, that was a fierce performance. It was awesome. Come on, give me a round of applause. That was awesome. It was awesome. Well, thank you, Sangeeta, for the opportunity to be able to moderate. Thank you, J-Cal, for this wonderful Building Equity Council, and thank you to Wendy Arima for putting all of this together. This is exciting. I am very grateful to be a part of this community. This is wonderful. Well, we have a couple of questions. Are you ready? Okay, we're going to start off with our choreographers. And so I'm going to ask, the first choreographer is going to be D-Bass. D-Bass. First off, girl.
Greetings, yes. Okay.
You were so good.
Oh, gratitude.
Really, you really, I wish I could, but I can't. All right, so D-Bass, what was your process of creating your piece? And the other part is, how was the experience of bringing together poetry and dance different from your other works?
Received. Okay, well, I will be authentic and say I physically arrived to fulfill the visual offering, but this was a line for Beloved Queen Tut to do. So in that, the overstanding alignment was I am called to improvisational work, but also in the spiritual alignment, it was like, oh, it was time for me to definitely arrive back here. I actually trained here years ago as a young one, so it was very intentional and higher runs. So with that being said, we met this week.
Wow.
I listened to her speak once I walked through the doors. Divine one over here, okay? And I let the words resonate to my body. And so over the next couple of days, I just listened to it again. It's in stillness, though. I actually chose to be still in the body. And I just let that, the dimensions of which she was speaking through and to and tapping back into, I was allowing myself to just let spirit guide me. Let the physical come amongst itself as you have all the training, no need to, it was just let yourself be free and not hinder from where I'm also expanding my journey. Into part two, not far off, I will say, I work with music often. So frequency, I receive, so I don't tend to like really fixate too much on poetry or anything like that, but I miss spoken words, so this was very aligned. So I'm just being verbatim, like I don't practice with poetry, but it seems to be very right there because it wasn't foreign for me to embrace this. So I guess in preparation for work like this, because of my improvisational work, I allow the frequency, be it someone's voice, words, literally to guide me, or the music itself. So in that, all this being said, if you are just present, whatever that frequency is, if it's a sound or it's a word, you'll be guided by it. So I just allow myself to be guided with, yes, the training and the experience that I have. So, but this was definitely a grounding experience in being present and choosing to connect to maybe parts of the story that doesn't worry me, but only about the journey. So truly stay in connection. So, so yes, I hope I don't. We got it. Thank you. Thank you for that. I'm going to give the same question over to Katie Oliver.
Good evening. So for myself, similar to Devas, I am very music driven with my choreography. So this was a new experience that I welcomed. Creatively, it was a challenge for me, but I took it on. And I had a great team with me as well. Before I began creating, I needed to really immerse myself in what it is that I was going to be creating too. So I asked for not only the audio that you guys were all listening to, I asked for the written poem, and I literally just closed my eyes, put my headphones on, and I had to listen to it a few times and let inspiration take me where it took me. And then I actually began the whole process by just speaking to my dancers about what it is that I envisioned and if it, how it resonated with me, and I wanted to see if it resonated with them, because if it didn't, it wasn't going to be authentic, it wasn't going to be organic, and they're doing this with me. So I want them as much part of this and involved in this as I was. So there were some days where I went in with the intention at rehearsals of knowing what I wanted to do, and then there were some days where I said, okay, I'm just gonna be in the room with my muses and let inspiration take over. And there were moments as well where I checked in with them and I asked them, does this feel natural for you, or what feels natural coming out of this, because they're going to be performing this with me, so I wanted it to feel real for them as well. And shout out to Albert, who couldn't be here tonight. I wish you well, and thank you for the opportunity to create to your work. Appreciate it.
And Jennifer Roy.
Hey everyone, I'm pretty loud, so I think this mask microphone situation will work. So Ernesto and I have known each other for probably well over a decade.
Long time.
A long time. When this solo opportunity came up, we knew he was going to perform it. And this was, I think, probably the most collaborative thing that we've done together. I think, obviously, coming from Robert's amazing poetry, he was very gracious and let us take some stanzas and kind of set a couple different vignettes and scenes before reading the whole poem. And I think that was very helpful to kind of put these moments together and then just do the whole thing. And it was also helpful for us when we were working, because it allowed us to kind of delve in little by little to really add to the depth. And Ernesto, you were really the one to put the emotional punch to it, so I don't know if you want to speak to
When we were presented with this, first of all, good evening everyone, good evening everybody at home. It means a lot to us as performers for you to come out and support, especially after the past several years. During this collaborative effort, Jen and I had known each other for many years, and coming into it, I thought, as for this go-around, my being the mover for this piece, I would be contributing in a certain kind of way. Specifically, I'm going to come in with 4 8 counts and we're going to work on that today. But instead of it being just both of us laying bricks at the same time, it was a conversation. So that's one of the wonderful things about collaboration, is that you never know what somebody adds into the mix, how it's going to inspire you and motivate you. And then when we were infused with Robert's voice and his poetry, took it to a whole other dimension. So it was as much a collaborative experience as it was an experience of growth, and I would say healing after these past few years. So I can only say I am super grateful to Jen, to Robert, to everybody here, and to all of you.
Yay!
Catherine.
Hi everybody. So Verbal and I have actually known each other since 2017, when we actually met out in the gallery there. Yes, because my company, Catherine Pettit Creative, which also equally stands for keeping people connected, had a residency to choreograph in residence for the month of January and create work. Verbal happened to be the gorgeous spoken word in artist in residency, and since then it's been pretty natural collaboration, and Mental Maze came about pretty early on within our relationship, to where we knew what we wanted to do with that piece, and be just very intentional actually about how kind of literal and on the nose, but very accessible, and hopefully lots of people could identify with that piece, even if they have never been in an experience such as that. And then Question or Console was definitely a lot newer to our repertoire. And that was the one that actually, unfortunately, it's just so much more urgent every single day, that we continue to fight in this country for everything that we deserve. And so, let's see, how it contributes to my work. Working with verbal and working with spoken word absolutely has enhanced my creativity, my process. Working with my company, the gorgeous humans that you saw on stage with me, you know, it doesn't happen in a vacuum. I'm not home like creating 8 counts and then coming into the studio and being like, this is exactly how it's going to occur. You know, you discover what's going to happen together, and you know, it deepens, and the connection deepens, and the heart and the spirit and the energy that needs to come, you know, you discover with other people. I think that's probably where I'm going to sort of put a button on it, like working together with the verbal and with Rachel and Sam and Amy is just a gift upon gift upon gift every second of every day. So.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you very much. I'm going to open it up to our poets. We'll start with verbal. She's right there. You were ready, verbal. You were ready. Verbal, that was so powerful. So powerful. Thank you. Thank you for that offering. So we want to ask our poets, what excited you to apply to be involved in this project, and how was being part of this production enhance you as an artist?
All right, let's go with the first part. One, I was excited because I actually grew up in this building. Before it was JCal's, Jamaica Center for Arts and Learning, it was Jamaica Arts Center. The second floor was the Queen's Council of the Arts. My father worked there. So besides the fact I grew up in an artistic household. You know, my mother worked for Queen's Symphony Orchestra, so I've always been into the arts. But however, so coming back here and performing is more like returning home for the most part. You know, because I was here before this was a theater, this was just open space. So I performed here. You know, I used to run around the building when it was closed. So for me, that's what excited me about coming, you know, back to perform here. So like I said, like she said, I met her when we did first Fridays they had, and then after that we've been working together ever since. As far as enhance me as an artist, it's an addition to all of the great things that I've been able to do. You know what I'm saying? So I can't say that, you know, it enhanced a career or anything. It's more of something that I can add on to what I've already been doing.
Thank you. All right, Robert Gibbons. Robert, that was a powerful piece.
Thank you.
And your delivery was wonderful.
Thank you. I'd just like to say thank you. Thank you for this incredible group of artists. It was an amazing journey. I'd just like to say that I like collaboration. I believe in collaboration. I think that that's just the natural progression for a poet or a writer, because most of the work that we do is in silence. So we write in silence, we write in our head, we're always thinking. We might, you know, create a book and a book is published, but to the idea of coming together with these two wonderful people, you know, here I am pushing the pen in a different direction. You know, it's almost like the progression of James Baldwin or Langston Hughes, who both were playwrights too, you know, so the natural progression for a writer to push himself in an intimidated space, and I was very intimidated by that energy, but to push the pen into the theater means that I'm following the tradition of my literary ancestors who are Baldwin and Langston Hughes. So that was that collaboration increases the audience, it increases those spaces that normally a silent writer wouldn't be in, so I'm grateful for that. And I think that that's what attracted me to apply here, besides some of the people that I know that work in this building that are just wonderful people, you know, and just the energy that they give out in the world, you know, and I just really am grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Well, Albert Garcia is not able to be here this evening, so we're going to go over to Sharice Francis. Sharice, thank you, thank you. It's a beautiful piece.
Thank you so much. Yeah. I consider myself an interdisciplinary poet, so I work with various art mediums with my writing already. This is my first time working with dancers, but I've always wanted to work with dancers with my work because I love the kinetic energy and movement, and I feel like that's in my words. So I wanted the physical aspect of that. And this year I've been getting more into performance with my work, so I felt like it was divine timing for this to happen. And I'm grateful for Queen, Paige, and Devas, and our collaboration. I feel like it has helped me to visualize and grow my work in new ways, and I'm extremely grateful for that.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from our YouTube audience?
I haven't received any, so we can open it up to the
Okay,
audience.
so we'll open it up to our audience here. Do you have any questions for choreographers or our poets?
I know, we can't.
Yes.
I don't have a question.
Sure,
but I
go
just have a statement. I enjoyed every single one of the performances I've observed in here while I was sitting. Most of them I've never seen before, because I'm Jamaican, we're just naturally used to dance hall and all of that. But I love the words spoken. The way both of you guys were communicating with each other, I felt as if I was there visualizing everything. Thank you. Keep doing what you guys do. I love it.
Thank you so much. Anybody else from our audience have any questions or comments?
I always have questions. Hey guys! I had actually a question for Verbal. You know. It had to, I was listening to you guys, your story, and how are you able, as a poet, I'm a poet also, how are you able to trust someone with your story? In terms of they're dancing it, they could have, got up here and did anything, but I know you guys had, years of working together, and whether, friends or through the pandemic, how do you trust somebody with a story that big to be able to share space? Because you're usually used to maybe spitting it by yourself. How do you trust someone to share your story to be expressed outward?
I didn't put too much thought into it. She came and said, I want to collaborate. I said, okay. It's interesting because, somebody like me with trust and commitment issues, you wouldn't think I would be like, oh, I can't do that. But, it wasn't a thought. It wasn't because I always wanted to, come from a dance background, you know what I'm saying? So for me, it was like, all right, let's do it, So it wasn't, I didn't put too much thought into it. If I didn't like it, I would have told her.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, right. So, yeah, that's so, I really didn't, I got, sometimes you just got to separate yourself and trust the process. So when it comes to creativity, you just got to let it flow.
Anybody else?
Hey guys. Anybody can answer. I'm always interested to know how the rehearsals go. Anybody. I guess we'll speak for us. We had gotten together, we recorded the piece, and she was like, okay, I want to be on stage. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I'm like, all right, do you want to memorize the whole thing? She was like, okay, no. And I was like, okay, idea. We can record it, and we edited it. I edited it with her, and we found all of these amazing sounds. And then for those of you guys out in YouTube land to know, I was supposed to dance the piece, but guess what? God said she was supposed to dance the piece. I got hospitalized last week, and then Devas came in, and she learned everything and transmuted it within like 3 days, 2 days. So that's how it happened. So, and with my dance company, the Kingdom Dance Company, we as dancers, a lot of times, we go to dance classes and we learn the dances and we try to be like the choreographer, but nobody ever touches on the fact that we need to learn how to freestyle, and we need to learn how to improv, and we need to learn how to think for ourselves. So when somebody doesn't give us the steps, we shouldn't be like, I don't know what to do. So I wanted to know, for anybody who wanted to answer, how did your rehearsals go? Did you rehearse at all? Did you rehearse a lot? What did you do?
I'm talking about mine too. So we had what, like six rehearsals, I think. Normally with Armada dance, it's rehearsal and it's like choreographed. But this, we wanted it to built to be flexible because we knew Robert was going to be like speaking live and there were a lot of variables. And
Robert came each time?
Not at 3 times? 3 times, yeah. So we started out with movement and material because it's just sometimes nice. I mean, he had already written the poem, so we had to have material, to play with. Otherwise, that would be very difficult. So that we both came kind of with like ingredients for the meal. Let's say everything comes to food with me. I always bring snacks to the rehearsal. That's what
That's a caring way to be.
Yeah. And there was actually one rehearsal that was just with us. I'm sure it's fine if I share this, but we had some difficulty. I'm going to be really honest, coming back from the pandemic. It was mentally a difficult space to be in. And while it was amazing to be back in the studio, the first, I think, rehearsal was fine, and maybe the second, but once then we started getting into it, it was kind of like we were in a safe enough space that all the emotions came in, and so we had to actually take a break and stop, and we did a pause, and then we did some yoga. Which I'm sure the other choreographers know, your time and your space is limited for doing things, and especially if you were doing a more choreographed one. And so there comes that question of, getting the piece finished versus mental health, but it was early enough in the process, and we were just it won't get finished if we don't take this break. Yeah, and I think that it's good to maybe think about for any artists out there, to give yourself the time to, because it might be, like you said, it's healing. So just giving that time for physical therapy, but mental therapy as well, because bodies and brains are coming back. So that's some shared process. Okay.
Jen, thank you so much for that. Mental health is really big in our company. Mental, emotional, physical health. One of my dancers, can I say, coming from a pregnancy and a baby.
You better have a baby.
6 months old, 6-month-old, gorgeous human. And, she's actually one of my dancers from we've been together 8 years. Mm-hmm. So, and then she hadn't been with me since pregnancy and having the baby. And so she came back, and this is the first piece back. And I think we rehearsed maybe 4 or 5 times, and then we saw Verbal Wednesday for tech, and then today. And
clean. Clean.
I'm going to connect back to what Jen said, honestly, because I do think it is about. It's not just about and what y'all said too about it's about improvisation and not necessarily being okay, this is the exact step. How do we find the step through the story? What is this piece speaking to you? And both of the pieces that we did, obviously y'all know, came with that trigger warning. It's difficult for us, to get into it as well. To go that far, to go as far as you need to bring verbal story to the stage in a way that hopefully she does trust me at this point. It continually remains to be seen day to day, that's how relationships go. And so building within our rehearsal space, just hearing the word, we recorded Mental Maze, and then you sent recording of question or console. And we worked with those recordings in studio, and then also I know the poems by heart. So we would go with my voice, which is of course very, very different from verbal. A little bit. Okay. And so then, right, the graduation from my voice, which is like, let's go slow and let's get into it. And then we went to a recording, and it was like, caused me to feel like I was less than a person, but I continued to stay. The door was right there, but and then we have to go, you know? And so like finding the rhythm and the ride and like how to feel how it is with the recording, and this shift to when we're real life with verbal, you know, and she never spits the same way twice. So we have to listen.
Wow.
We have to listen. We have to be together. We have to listen not only to verbal, we have to listen to our own bodies. We have to listen to each other's bodies. You know, it's a collaboration throughout what you saw tonight. It continues to be a collaboration every second. The collaboration part of it, it's not like now the piece is done. The piece is a living, breathing entity, which will hopefully continue to reverberate.
Awesome, awesome. Let's get another round of applause for these wonderful artists, choreographers, poets, putting all their language together, body language, verbal language. Thank you. Well, thank you so much for
I
coming.
have a question.
Okay, all right.
Is it Wednesday?
It's Wednesday.
Of course.
Yes. So, well, some of you know, some of you don't know. So I'm the one who manages the program, and thank you. And so we've been performing for the Building Equity program since January. This is actually, yes, March. I'm sorry. We've been in communication since January. Our first event was in March. So this is actually one of the first events that has more than 2 Building Equity members that were actually at the forefront. So we've got Freedom Jones, Queen, and Sangeeta. And so when this came to the table, of course, I pushed for this to happen. My question is, where was the seed planted for this? Because this has all the makings of what we needed for Building Equity. So where did that come from?
Hey y'all. Sangeeta, wherever she tries to hide. She loves to try to hide. First of all, Sangeeta, let me tell you. Sangeeta be on her computer everywhere, sending emails. Her ideas are just like off the chart. She's just like boom, bam, boom, bam. If y'all know our Equity Council, we are, about 22 strong, and we are up here to vie for different programming that can be presented for the public to come out. And Sangeeta had this idea along with many, many other ideas. And she wanted to bring together poetry and dance. And me, I'm always ready to help, and Freedom's just like, oh yeah. He's just mad cool. He's like, oh yeah, we're gonna help. And then we just had meetings and we pulled it together. But I wanna say, like, specifically from a program manager standpoint, I have not seen anybody as efficient as Sangeeta in terms of getting people together, letting people know what's going on, and also her program management skills are like top tier. And I know probably like in her heart she's just like, oh my gosh, it's 4 o'clock. But just working together and also just wanting to help. Freedom wanting to help, me wanting to help. Being together with people that wants to do a thing. Sometimes you're together with a team and like they don't want to do anything, but like it's a difference when you're with people who want to do something.
I agree with you because
Oh yes.
Hold on, we can
Ideas, there are lots of ideas out there, right? Do they all get seen or presented? Do they all manifest? I mean, how do you make it happen? You need a team to work together. I can come up with ideas, lots of ideas, but I need Jeffrey, I need Queen, I need you. People have to come forward to make that realize the dream.
It just have a heart attack. Trying to do everything. As everybody tries to do in our shows.
Yes, I think all the emerging and early career artists, they are all, spinning in their own axis and trying to cover everything. It's hard, it's really hard. So I love this building equity initiative with all these council members available. They stepped forward, Renee stepped forward today to moderate. Thank you so much. So yeah, this is a wonderful community of artists. We all work together. We all have different areas of expertise, but we chip in, we come in, we say, well, I can do this, I can do this. Jeffrey created this beautiful artwork, and we have this wonderful flyer. Thank you so much. Beautiful, beautiful. So yeah, so we all work together. Thank you for the question.
And ideas flowing together, because I don't know if for some of you guys, you ever had an idea and then sometimes you just let it die.
Yeah.
Oh, no, come back. Sometimes, or I guess hopefully a little bit of advice, no matter what it is that you want to do, whether you want to write a poem, whether you want to dance, whether you have the knowledge to do so, don't let your ideas die. Even if you have friends who don't dance, don't do art or whatever, hey, will you be my brainstorming buddy? Will you be my accountability partner? So that I want to create this dance in 6 weeks, even if you record it on your cell phone. We need to stop letting these things die before we're not able to do these things.
Woo! Excellent. That was a nice way to wrap it up. Thank you. Well, thank you again for joining us this evening, and there will be a light reception in the lobby with some libations.
In the gallery.
In the gallery. In the gallery.
Thank you.